A new Harvard Caps HarrisX poll reveals that 58% of voters are more satisfied with President Trump's performance over that of his predecessor, Joe Biden. There also seems to be a lot of support, 72% of those polled, for an agency that is focused on government efficiency initiatives. Lots more juicy findings as well. Here with us now to discuss them is the CEO of HarrisX, Dritan Nesho. Welcome back to Rising.
Thank you for having me back.
Great to be with you. So I think the perception from some in the media, or at least the line that they've been promoting, is that the things Trump and Elon Musk have done, the dramatic things in the last month, are going to cause an ebbing of the popularity of the new administration. What are your findings with respect to how people feel about what Trump and Musk are doing so far?
Sure. So we tested all of President Trump's decisions and initiatives within the first 30 days in the office. And we found 3/4 of the voting public support the initiative to review government spending and cut down costs where those costs need to be cut down or are warranted. And so that's overwhelming support. It's the second highest rating policy undertaken in the first 30 days, second only to deporting illegal immigrants that have criminal backgrounds or have committed criminal acts. And the reason for that is because 2/3 of voters today are very concerned about the level of the federal debt. And they would much rather reduce government expenditures rather than increase taxes. 83% actually side on reducing expenditures over increasing taxes. And voters are very conscious that, that requires a full examination of all government expenditures. They're less focused on which agencies are being impacted at this specific stage, and much more focused on the goal of cutting down $1 trillion or more of expenditures, which is, aligned with what Musk and Trump have communicated so far.
Dritan, the overall job approval rating for President Trump in your poll is 52%. And I noticed that on the 538 average, it's a few points lower than that, 48%. But, those disparities or differences in polls, that's not unusual. I'm not casting any aspersion on your finding. But does the Harris poll go back far enough to know where other presidents stood at this point in their presidency?
So I'll talk about Trump specifically, compare him to his first term. This is the highest job approval rating had as president in the first term, and obviously since the beginning of the second term. And the approval is trudging in the right direction. We'll see in the next 30 to 60 days, within sort of the honeymoon period of the first 100 days, whether or not he's able to crystallize it into a positive 50% and over type approval, and that will be quite the accomplishment. Trump has always been a high floor, low ceiling type politician when it comes to his approval and his favorability, meaning that his base of voters and a segment of independents have really liked what he has done, and the other voters have not. And this would be the first time that he would be on a sustained basis with a high approval, 50% plus approval. So right now, what we can conclude from the polling is that voters are giving the president the chance at a honeymoon, which perhaps he didn't have the first time around as president. And secondly, they've adopted a wait and see approach. They want to see what these actions yield by way of dividends and accomplishments before they make up their mind whether they're net positive on his job approval or, slide down below 50%.
But I'm not trying to be awkward here. I'm just curious, did you test Biden's approval rating at this point in his presidency?
We did, yes. And Biden's approval ratings at this point in his presidency were higher. I mean, he started off with approvals in the upper 50s, lower 60s, and had an incredible collapse right after the, you can call it Afghanistan debacle. He dropped a solid 10 to 15 points and never really recovered after that. That's the first time that American voters really thought of Biden and his age and his judgments and started to question it in a comprehensive way. We did ask the question that Robbie mentioned, which is, at this stage, are you more satisfied with the work that Trump is doing as president or Biden did as president? and 58% said that they're more satisfied with Trump. Trump also has a net positive favorability, 50% overall favorability personally, and he's net positive by 9 points. That's one of the biggest net positive spreads that he's ever had. Whereas, if memory serves me right, Biden is negative 24 points in his favorability ratings. So what you're seeing right now is a reassessment of the Biden presidency, especially the last year where there wasn't a lot of movement and a lot of action, and Trump's very, very fast and very, very furious start right off the gate this first 30 days. And voters they like the engagement.
And what I find interesting is that it's the support for Trump policies you found in this poll was even higher than support for Trump himself for the most part. You found that of 11 Trump policies you tested, all of them except one received majority support. The one that didn't was renaming the Gulf of Mexico. Very popular among extremely MAGA people, but not maybe the general electorate. But then the highest performing policy with 81% support, deportation of illegal immigrants who committed other crimes. What lessons can we learn from the popularity of these policy proposals?
I mean, the Trump agenda is wildly popular. As you said, there's few exceptions to it. One of the exceptions is birthright citizenship. So we asked about birthright citizenship in our poll, and voters break against Trump on the birthright citizenship question. A majority think that children who have been born in the U.S. to illegal immigrant parents should be given a pathway to citizenship. And actually, close to 3/4 believe that this is a constitutional requirement. So the public likes the birthright citizenship from what we can say, and they don't like renaming the Gulf of Mexico, but everything else, overwhelming approval. There isn't a specific issue that Trump is pushing forward that doesn't have, close to 60% approval, and in some cases over 80% approval, right? So that's the range. I will add one other thing, though. There are cautionary notes in this poll. There's cautionary notes in terms of Trump's trade policy and the tariff. There are cautionary notes in terms of how he's trying to engineer an end to the war between Ukraine and Russia. And there's cautionary notes also in terms of his statements vis-a-vis Gaza and the Israel-Hamas war. So the poll is not all rosy, and that's where you basically see the public adopting that wait and see attitude. Like, let's see what happens. There's some things that they like, there's some things that they don't like. And so far they like the energy, but they're waiting to make up their mind more comprehensively.
Dritan Nesho, thank you so much for joining Rising today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, last but not least, a war of words. Hopefully it just remains a war of words between Tucker Carlson and Dan Crenshaw.